AI SEO secrets. Learn how AI and SEO work together. Welcome to We Don't Play podcast. You're also tuned in live directly from Clubhouse. And I'm always happy to be here with you because I always love to give very insightful topics that make you think outside the box and also make you reason outside the box. So today we're going to talk about something very specific because these AI SEO secrets are very many, but the ones that I want to share with you are the ones that are going to matter the most. And if you're not using AI with your website, and I don't mean ChatGPT blogs, I mean incorporating AI codes and scripts into your website, then there's going to be a lot of things that you may have to catch up on. So we're going to talk about this today. And if you have any questions about anything, please feel free to click the link above and then you can sign up, connect with me. But if you want to have a complimentary SEO discovery call with me, that can also happen. And you can also click the link in the chat. If you have any questions, please feel free to do so. So we can talk about this, privately and also virtually and connect the dots. So AI is evolving very fast, right? And I'm so happy you guys are here. Eliza, N, NK, Yuri, SN, Rachel, John, if I say it correctly, Jacob, Tony T, Bennett, Ingrid, Evely, and Bell. Thank you for being here today. Right now, AI is becoming more and more sophisticated. And the more I see it, the more I'm able to share with you how things can be done. And with these AI SEO secrets that you're going to get today, you can apply them to your business. You can apply them to your website today if you know how you're going to do it. If you don't, please reach out to someone that's a professional, an expert. You can reach out to me too. You can reach out to any other SEO experts as well. When you want SEO and AI to work together, it means that you're creating, I would say, a union between your website and the algorithm, because you're creating a connection where you're jotting down from 2 points or from two axes, X axis and Y axis, and the goal is to meet in the middle. We're supposed to hit an equilibrium. We're supposed to have, a very good curve. So how do we have that when SEO is something that people say, oh, is SEO going to be there? Is SEO going to be around? Yes, 100% it is. Of course, yes, it's also subjectively, we can also say that it's also dropped in the organic traffic as well. Welcome, Mimi and Jason. They've also dropped in organic traffic share. They used to be in the 90s, but they've dropped. It doesn't mean that they've dropped low. If they've dropped 2%, that's a lot to a big company. But that doesn't mean that's everything, because in the whole wide world, 20% of people use voice search platforms. 20% of the world out of 8 billion. And there are about 1.1 billion websites. Yes, Mimi, miss you too. Definitely got to reconnect. When you have your content on these platforms, they're going to create a resemblance online for you. So when you start creating content online, your content is going to start to create attention and retention. So you're using AI to make things easier for you. For example, I don't know if you've done this before. This is something that you should do. If you've ever tried this, please do. If you haven't, please try. If you haven't, please try it. When you go to your professional dashboard on your website and you're looking at your analytics and you're looking at who has come to visit your website, most times we look at the city and state or province, because it's not just US. You can look at a province or area, county. You're looking at it from you know, that kind of spectrum, right? But have you ever thought about looking at it from the position of a zip code, or from the position of an area code, which is different completely? Because when you're asking AI to scan or to scrape or to program or to do anything or prompt and ask, hey, could you tell me the number of visitors that, came to my website? And you can get that information by asking the AI tool, and you can now get that feedback knowing that, okay, these are the top places that have visited your website. Then you're able to retarget and also help those people, come back even more. Now, when you're looking at this from a structure perspective, welcome, David. Glad to have you here. When you look at it from a long-term perspective, most people will say, yeah, I just want to rank on ChatGPT. I just want to rank on this platform. But the major goal and the driver here is how you're going to even show up and how you're going to stay up. Because you can show up, but if you can't stay up, then it won't be long till someone else is going to stay on top of you. And when I say stay on top of you, it means that you're not going to go on top of them because it hasn't. So there's going to be big, big jump in how you're going to create content going forward, especially for 2025, 2026, knowing that there are going to be ways that they have to work together to make it happen. So we're going to tap into that today. And glad to have you here, David. How are you? Buenos dias.
Hello, Favor. Can you
Yes,
hear
how
me?
are you?
I'm doing great, doing great. Good to see you here in the room. Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Thanks for being here. No, I'm excited. I'm excited. I think it was time for me to bring some questions here and, answer some really good topics and, put it in as well. David, let us know. You're big in the photography industry. How is AI playing a role in your world?
Well, as far as AI in photography, it's made my editing a lot easier. There's programs out there that allows us to do our selection. Not only that, but also editing. Like deleting distractions or adding to the photographs. That process has definitely helped us. Quite a bit as photographers. There's AI even in Photoshop. There's AI in Lightroom and so many Adobe programs that us as photographers that we use. So yeah, it's all around us, and it's actually helping us quite a bit.
That is amazing. I'm loving that too because I'm also seeing the same thing happen to in the SEO industry because would take hours or months or even maybe a few minutes, but it would definitely take some time off your plate. And you have to do it because you have to be very meticulous so that you don't miss out on any mistake. Because the last thing you want to do is give a false error in a structured map. So when you do schema markup, which is the first SEO secret today, the AI SEO secret for how they work together, is schema markup. Schema markup, what is schema markup? Schema markup is a rich text based format that allows a source code through a prompt within a type format, giving signal to an algorithm to describe something in form of an element that is simultaneously different from another. For example, if I have a video and this video is 3 minutes long, and I have an article because I'm also in the entertainment business industry. When you create content, you're creating content to make sure that the 3 minutes is placed. And once you have those 3 minutes, you're able to put that into schema. And then you have that as video schema. Most times people would have to put in the minutes and the seconds, the time, they would have to put those informations in manually. But now you can use agentic SEO and use AI to script through those text-based marketing formats and then get the timestamps, put them into a video schema, which you can tell AI to do for you instead of you doing it yourself. So there has to be a correlation between how you create content online and how you're able to also base that off what you're creating. Because schema markup, if you think about it for voice search engines, right? If you think about voice search engines, right? Voice search engines are looking out for AI overviews. And these AI overviews are heavily based on FAQs. So when you're asking questions to ChatGPT, all these platforms, mostly what they're getting back to is informational responses, informational keywords. And Nadeem, I'd love for you to be up here too, so that we can speak about it, because the chat is very funny. So it's good to talk about things in person so that we can, you know, face facts. When you think about your content and it's not in an FAQ format, in terms of schema, your website is not going to get that, because right now robots txt, right, that's the way information is understood online. Now there's something called LLMs txt. That's different from robots txt. LLMs is focusing on search engines that are answer based, right? These are generative AI based. So if you have any questions, ask me, because nobody's going to here talk about anything that's off. So you do your research. We do these things consistently. So I really like to, make sure that we face facts, because a lot of people are doing things backwards. And that's why I also tell you, I always say this, there are three types of signals online. There are user signals, there are domain signals, and there are social signals. So if you need to be within a domain signal that has a domain authority, then the reason why your domain authority is picking up a lot of trust signals is because you're sharing social signals from user signals. It's a three-in-one piece. So we're not here talking about fluff. We have to give you exactly what it is, because when you're able to know how to dissect and know that, okay, I have an article. This article has internal links. It has external links. It has facts. It has figures. It has numbers. It has graphs. It has statistics. It has FAQs. It has tables. It has infographics. It has meta titles. It has meta tags. It has schema markup. It has robots text. It has things that you can be able to use as context so that you can qualify your information to the search engines, because they're consuming it on an everyday basis. There's something called a crawl budget based on how many pages you have on your website. So when you don't have your website, first of all, connected to Google Search Console, it's not connected to Bing Webmasters. These are tools that you're given for free by Microsoft, by Google. You can Google this any day. This is free information. It's how you apply it. When you don't apply these things to your own website, it doesn't say add website, it says add property, meaning that you have a property asset. When you have a property, that's an asset and it increases in value. How do you increase your asset values? By the number of keywords you put in. So when you have keywords that are in form of URLs, which are uniform resource locators, then uniform resource locators are going to be based through search indexing, where your phrases and your matches are going to be based off keywords that you're putting into your system. So when you're thinking about AI right now, it's not just about, oh, best restaurants near me or what to eat for lunch. There's a whole different ballgame now, where you have to really think about it in form of conversation. You have to think about your website. Is it actually even part of the conversation? Because if it's not, there's going to come a time that it has to respond back differently. You can check my LinkedIn. And I put something out there on a case study of a podcast, because right now our podcast is 146 countries, and we're in the top 58,000 out of 4.5 million podcast shows. With over 500 episodes, I've understood podcast SEO, Pinterest SEO, all this schema markup I'm talking about is important, because when you ask ChatGPT a question, they're going to form citations. Citations is where all this AI is coming from. When you think about citations, what's a citation? When you write a paper, an APA format paper, back in school days, you have to make references in APA style, right? You're making citations, you're paraphrasing, you're quoting, you're citing. You can't say, here's my source, where's the resource? There has to be a source and a resource. So those two have to work together hand in hand to create that outcome. So if I'm going to state the fact and say, based on this logic, this happened, then where's the fact and where's the evidence? So there are different things that you have to think about today that are not just specific to only just, oh, being on ChatGPT. Those days are gone. Those days are gone, because right now you have to think about it forward. You have to think about how you're creating content forward. Adam, great question. Any specific SEO terms to do for AI ChatGPT Cloud? So this is the thing. How AI and SEO work together is here. You have a website, right? I'm just going to give you guys clear as day examples, because I love to be very clear with my analogies here, even on the podcast. When you look at a podcast, right? When you look at a podcast has three layers. A podcast has three layers. There's text, there's audio, and there's image. For some people, there's video. So you already have three in one. Where's the text coming from? The caption. When you look at podcasts, even YouTube podcast descriptions or YouTube descriptions, those are HTML text, hypertext markup language text. So when you start hyperlinking on YouTube, you're hyperlinking within the YouTube domain property. So if you're doing the same thing from your hosting platform, I mean, if you're using platforms, and I said this yesterday too, when you have a platform, especially when you're looking at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, these platforms are exact match phrase based. They're exact match based. When you think about typing, I'm looking for this or that, travel tips, you're going to get exactly that. If there's a topic about that in form of an episode, that's what you're going to get as a result. If it's not there, you're not going to see it because it's not exactly matching the phrase. So when you start thinking about Google and YouTube, those platforms are mostly broad search. People search with broad search. Unless you start using parentheses or you start using quotation marks, then you start going into deeper things. Even on Pinterest, we look at negative keywords. The same thing with Google. Those are things that are very specific, but people just normally search, type. They don't put a caps lock. They don't put apostrophe. They don't put comma. They don't put anything. They just type. And there's coming to a point right now that 60% of people who use, and check it out, this is a study that was done by iHeart. So go do your research as well, because I always want you to do your research after listening to this. iHeart did a study, and this was sometime last year. They did a study and they said about 60% of the people who use voice search or voice speakers like Alexa or Google Home, 60% of the time they're home alone. So who are they talking to when their friends are not around them, or their spouse is not around them, or their significant other is not around them, or their loved one is not around them, right? That's going to be a platform they're going to use. Now you can use your phone with Apple Intelligence. So it's different. I'm using the iOS 26 right now, and I'm seeing a difference in how it's going to be, especially when I'm looking at podcast, search, discovery, being on the web, because it's not just being on the search. There's left brain, right brain. So there's search and discovery. So when you start looking at content online, and thinking about where your website is going to be, to your question, Adam, you're looking at it from the perspective of, is my website even listed in the first place? You know how back in the day you had to be on Yellow Pages to be in the directory of businesses so that you can be listed for something? It's the same thing now. You have to be on Google Search Console. So once you're on Google Search Console, you import your Google Search Console property into your Bing Webmaster Tools. When you do that, Microsoft Bing is technically OpenAI, which is technically ChatGPT. So when you import something from a data point, from a data source, you're creating a language, because there's Googlebot and there's BingBot, right? So Googlebot is the bot language that is speaking for Google, and BingBot is doing the same thing. So when you import from Google to Bing, you're integrating two brands together. It's kind of like a mirror image, right? If I light up your candle, then you're going to have as much power as I do, or as much fire as I do. So when you now connect your website to Google Search Console, submit your sitemap, right? Make sure you have your robots text and your LLMS text, all together, and you've been able to have them indexable, right? Once you have those things together and you have your Bing too, also submit your content to also Bing sitemaps, because you also have to submit your sitemap to Bing. When you do those things, you now start showing up on ChatGPT, you start showing up on Perplexity, you start showing up on Claude, not because you're going to show up for the reason of just showing up. If you're showing up, it's because you have information on your website that has attributed to three signals. One, your user signal, because people use user signals based on devices, tablets, phones, whether it's an iOS upgrade, downgrade, whether it's Apple or Samsung, whatever it is, people are going to have those user signals. Screen resolutions, are their phones wide? Are they long? Are they thin? Are they small? Whatever it is, that's going to be a user signal because it's based on an IP address tracking system. Then there's the domain signal, which is now your site-wide map, which is why I always say that your sitemap is technically the brain of your website, because that's where everything is communicated from. That's where searching, crawling, indexing, performance, ranking is coming from. Because if you're not on that sitemap, if you're not on the list, you can't get in. So when you're creating content from that point perspective, your domain level is attributing to the users. The social is where everybody gathers. So if I was to paint a Venn diagram in your mind, right? Picture this. Draw the Venn diagram, right? Left, right, and you have in the middle. On the left side of that Venn diagram is user signal. On the right side of that Venn diagram is domain signal. In the middle of that Venn diagram is a social signal. So when you have a social signal, whether it's coming from Reddit, Quora, Pinterest, which is a visual search engine tool, whether it's coming from Google Perspectives, whether it's coming from Google Web, wherever it's coming from, Google Discover, you'll be able to find them there because you were placed off citations, off schema, and off your images. So when you have your images, whether it's a web page, a forum page, a collection page, a product page, these are pages that your website is attributing back into your system. So if you have these pages, let's say you have broken links, you can fix those broken links easy, right? We had a client where we realized that there was a no index broken. There was actually a no index robots tag that was made, a robots.txt prompt, and that was hurting a lot of her pages. So we're able to take that off because I don't know who put it there before we got the website. So these are things that clients won't see. It's like going to the dentist or going to the doctor. They're going to tell you what you can't see. You have your own body, but they're going to tell you what's wrong with your body. So it's the same thing with SEO. It's the same thing with content. It's the same thing with branding. So when you're creating content and you're realizing that your content is actually attributing to people reaching out to you, backlinking to you, featuring you, connecting with you, those things last a long time. So you have to think about that as from a domain authority perspective. This website you see up here has a domain authority of 43. So it takes a while to get up there. And at the same time, it takes diligence, it takes consistency. It's not something that you do overnight. I always say blogging is one of the best resources you can do because if you're able to sequence them in form of four: informational, navigational, commercial, and transactional, then you can really create that internal link guide because your website is technically, how do you call it? It's technically, thank you, Heroin, your website is technically the museum of your business. That's why some people, when you go to their website and it says copyright 2019, I'm like, hey, what's going on here? It's either someone set up your website and left, or you just didn't realize that that was missing. But that thing happens. It happens. Your podcast has to grow. I'm giving you facts and figures because these are things that I've been doing for a long time. So when I hear these things, I know what I'm saying, right? There are billions of blogs and there are millions of podcasts. Do you want to be in the red ocean or do you want to be in the blue ocean? That's up to you. A lot of people are in the social signals trying to fish out, get likes, comments, saves, whatever it is, triggers, and it's not helping. It's not working because Instagram has a lifespan of anywhere between 19 to 72 hours. It could be more or less, but it's not up to Pinterest with about 5 months. And a blog has a lifespan of 24 months. A podcast Let's not even go there. A podcast is long term. Podcast that, and even Clubhouse, think about it. The replays that I did back in 2022, because I've been on Clubhouse since 2020. Since 2022, there's some episodes I get on my notification and I'm hearing, oh, Pinterest, oh, blogging, monetization, email marketing, topics that we did years ago that people are still listening to today. If today was the best day of your life and you did something great, what would you say a day from now that you did that you'd be happy about? That's a question. Because if you look at your Instagram and you say, okay, I have 40 posts on my Instagram, those to me are 40 links I could compound on your website, because that means for each week, you have one Instagram post equals to one blog post, right? And I'll give you a perfect example, right? So that we can actually look at the brands out there that do this. If you go to CNN, right? If you go to CNN, CNN has 19.8K posts, right? I'm 100% sure that at least 80%, if not all, at least 80% of them are linking you back to their website, where they'll tell you link in bio or visit our website for more information. 19.8K. That means if I was to scan CNN's sitemap, then they would have definitely over 19,000 posts because they've been there for decades, right? So when you start thinking about the content that is being put out there, it's different. Look at TikTok, right? TikTok that we know of just when I was on TikTok in 2016 when it was called Musically. 2016 was when TikTok came out, or Musically at the time. And when you look at, go to Digger Tools, Digger.tools, go check it out. Digger Tools, go check out and see when TikTok first incorporated their domain. It was back in 1996. So when you start thinking about domain, think about it like credit. Think about it like leverage, like brand equity, right? When you're selling your company, when you're selling your business, it's your contact list. It's going to be your business information. It's your intel. It's your SOPs. It's how you work. It's your business operation that's really going to give you that leap, right? If you have a business model that is really seamless, great. If there's AI incorporated, even greater. So your content has to create that capacity to gain that attraction by tweaking those things. It's not going to be an everyday solution that you're going to just see, oh, this is going to fix here today. There's some things that you realize that the more you're able to fail forward, the better. I don't know everything. I'm not perfect, but I definitely listen. I definitely learn. I sit back. I'm like, okay, this is how it works. Because sometimes you have to sit back and think. You have to sit back and ask yourself, okay, how is this working? How is this not working? Why is this even not even working in the first place? Because you can be doing all the SEO in the world, and yet there's one little button that was not pressed because you didn't see it. It's like you missed that little light because it was not in sight or on sight because you didn't have foresight or hindsight. So the goal is to create content that your website can also end up being on search engines, because if you don't have a high domain authority, guess what? The platform you use could help you. For example, perfect example, if you use LinkedIn newsletters or LinkedIn articles, I don't know if you know this, but as a podcast, if you have a podcast, you can connect your RSS feed on LinkedIn within your company profile settings. And that's where you can also start having auto publishing and RSS feed pushes throughout your podcast. That's one way of doing it. When you start doing that, you start creating this link building. When they say link building, it's for a reason. When you're building a house based on the material. If you have bad material and you're building a house, it's just a matter of time. That house is just going to, right? So that's not what you want. So if you want a house that's going to be a fortress for years to come, then your links have to matter. Your content has to matter. If you have thin content or pages that are not so strong, you can go back and update them. So you can't think about this as just a one time fix all thing, because there's not only one page that's going to make you rank. Yes, you can rank for that one page, but it's because you have 10 other pages on your website that talk about it semantically. It could be examples, it could be list codes, it could be definitions, it could be frequently asked questions, it could be a glossary. It could be something that will help someone understand, because the whole point of using your website is to educate your audience. If you can't go to someone's website and understand what they're doing or how they're doing things, I don't know how you're even going to have a conversation in the first place. So it's when you just respect people, do your own thing, show up and ask questions, great. If you can't answer them, great. Then we keep moving. But at the end of the day, we think about those things and we think about them long term, because that's how we're also going to end up in that system. For example, with Clubhouse, perfect case study with Clubhouse. This was when Clubhouse Plus first came out. And shout out to Dr. Fashion. She came in the room and she was like, hey, Favor, I was asking ChatGPT about Clubhouse Plus and your article showed up. And I wrote that article around midnight, the day of, because we had that call like on here on Clubhouse, like in the morning, and she's in Pacific time. So I was like, yo, what? For real? I was like, yeah. And I was not even like looking at that because I already knew, okay, I already placed these things. I already know, okay, checkmate. And when she said that, I was like, okay, thank you for that feedback. Then I also did it myself. And I said, you know what, let me see for myself. Then I also found on top of the website, I also saw Spotify because I wrote an article about Clubhouse. I talked about it on my podcast, and then the Spotify link is what showed up on ChatGPT. Because when you look at the podcast show website, the website still links back as a backlink to as an external link from Spotify to your website. So when you think about that, there's a do follow, there's a no follow. When you're creating content and your content is going back to your website from a source file that is an RSS base file, an RSS stands for really simple syndication, right? So if you're RSS feeding into a system, it means that if I'm feeding one podcast episode to 15 stations, it means I'm going to have 15 links from one episode. That's a compound effect. So if the title of that episode is keyworded, if the description of that podcast is keyworded, if what I'm talking about on that podcast has captions auto-generated that are keyworded, then all my seed keywords are going to fall into the scenarios that people are going to ask conversational wise, which are going to make them also realize there's a link available for them to click through, which will now lead them to your website. So that's how you're able to do that. How do you use the do follow, no follow, Jason? That's just something that you just toggle on or off on your CMS, whatever platform you're using, your content management system, right? So
Yeah,
if you're
Jason,
yes, go ahead.
why do you use it though? I see it, right? And I'm learning a lot from you because I'm more on the business side, although I do some development, but I see it. But when would it come in handy to actually activate that, use that?
Okay, so some platforms do this. I remember when I was talking with SEMrush last year, because I'm also certified with SEMrush. When I talked with the staff last year, there's usually something that happens when, let's say, they want to not really feature you, but let's say you work with them and on a no follow basis, whereby you have a page, they create a page for you, and then that page is pretty much from their domain, but it's extended to your business name. So if someone types in your name, they can still see you, of course, online, but because it's a no follow, right? A no follow means that you're not going to attribute link juice, I can say like that, to that domain. A do follow means, okay, follow this link because this link has resources that is contextually based back to this link I'm linking from. But if it's a no follow, then you're just linking to it, but you don't want that other link you're linking to gain any signal strength or any kind of bandwidth for you to attribute to that link as a base. Yes, you can still click to it, but from the technical algorithmic side, scientifically, it's not going to have any signal strength or even, leeway. But if you do turn it on, then that's when you can now start seeing, okay, do follow is going to be there. You can go to Ahrefs and you can see that split screen between those two. Does that help, Jason?
Yeah, so if I'm linking to my own site and I want some traffic, in that case, would I, you know, put a do follow? But if I'm linking somewhere, like I guess I'm trying to understand when you're saying, so say I'm doing a link to, say, your podcast. In that case, if I want to link back, do I do a do follow? Like I'm trying to understand.
Okay, so you're kind of mixing up a little bit. So you just said something in two ways. There's a backlink and then there's a do follow, no follow, right? So a backlink is what you just said last, where if you want to link to me, because let's say you're referencing to a podcast that I talked about and you want to reference to it, then you're going to highlight the text and you're going to hyperlink that text to my domain. And most times when you're also hyperlinking in the anchor text, you also have to write it within the right domain property URL pathway. So some people just type in, this website.com instead of putting https colon slash slash domain, .com. Or if you have a www in your prefix, then you can have that there in your URL prefix. So if those things are there and you're actually hyperlinking within your podcast, within your article, within wherever, even email, and you're linking it like that, and also some platforms allow you to add accessibility, alt text, alternative text when you're sending out an email. When you now have that do follow, no follow, Jason, then that do follow means that you want to attribute that podcast link that you're linking back to me, which is a backlink, as a reference link that you want to attribute to that signal. If you do it as a no follow, it's still a backlink. So either way it goes, a no follow or do follow is still a backlink because you're already creating a link from your property to another property, right? Or if somebody's linking back to you, they're linking it from theirs to yours. But if it's a no follow, they'll still link back to yours. But technically, you're not going to see that as a do follow if you're able to, like, let's do a report or, have a spreadsheet. You will see that link. It will tell you do follow, no follow. It will say do follow, no, no follow, yes. If you're trying to do like a spreadsheet format formula. So that's how it will work. But both of them would be still considered as backlinks. Does that help?
Okay, so it's more, yeah, I think so it's more so that if you want that site to link back to you, kind of, so that it's for that, really, for the one, for that reverse, for if it's linking back to you, right?
Yeah, it's linking back to you as a backlink do follow or as a backlink no follow. It's either one of the two.
Yeah, okay, I think I
It's
get
either
that.
yeah. Awesome. Great. Now, this is good. So, for those who have never heard of this platform, check this out because I always talk about this, especially when it's new and not many people know about it. But because we're talking about AI and SEO, I want to really give you guys the details. And that's why people keep coming back. They love this podcast because there's no barriers. Like, if you want to get on the call, let's get on the call. If you want to listen and build your own business, which has happened through a podcast, listening just to the whole, series, definitely, yes, you're more than welcome to. There's a website called etheo.co. If you've never heard of it, check it out. It's called etheo.co. 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 If you want to improve your AI visibility in 2025, 2026, I give you no fluff here. You guys know me very well. I've been doing this for a long time. 2 decades in music, 12 years in business, 6 years podcasting. This year, I definitely know there are things out there I'm like, yeah, I got to just give you guys the real sauce. So click the link. I put it in the chat, ethio.co. That's where you're going to be able to see if your website is even ranking or showing up anywhere when it comes to GEO, which is generative engine optimization. So it's no longer SEO. It's search everywhere optimization, including, let me actually tell you this way. There are 5 places that people shop or go online for shopping when they are online, especially when they're thinking in purchase mode. These are the places that people go to, and this is not in any order. There's TikTok, there's Amazon, and I'm talking about domains, not just the apps or the websites. I'm talking about the domains, the businesses. There's TikTok, there's Amazon, there's YouTube, there's Pinterest, there's Google. Right? And these are the places people go to for transactional marketing, transactional branding, transactional influence, transactional checkmate. Like people do Google alerts for a reason. So when you do these things, especially when it comes to branded mentions and non-branded mentions, this is where you have to also think about where you show up online. And how you're going to do this is by improving your keyword value bank. How do you improve your keyword value bank? By improving on your keyword score, your keyword density. My podcast has a range of episodes ranging from 26 seconds to 5 hours. That's the bandwidth as far as per episode. So when you start thinking about the stretch, it's like a rubber band. Like, how elastic can you go? Because I can have 200 episodes and they're all 5 minutes. But if each episode is about an hour short, I mean, that's a lot of content that for years to come, is still going to be there. People are still going to be listening to episodes. I listened to a podcast that was done in 2020 yesterday because I was trying to do some research and understand some concepts. And I'm like, okay, what's happening? And I went back in time and I'm like, yeah, let me see what's going on because I really like research. So I found some really cool insights and I was like, yeah, this is what I was looking for. Because I just make sure I hit bullseye and I'm like, yeah, this is exactly what we need to do. Fix this, move on. That's why it says we fix and scale business websites. So if you're looking for any hiring, SEO services, if you need anything for podcasting, reach out, connect, because this is something that you can do and we can all do together. So I'm going to be here tomorrow talking about the podcast SEO blueprint. I'm excited about that because when I talk about this SEO blueprint, you also see, and if you want to see what I'm talking about, click the link above and sign up, join the community. We're over 8,000 in our community. We have 2,000, with the LinkedIn SEO 101, and we're about 8,000, so about 10,000 in a week. And my LinkedIn has also gone up to about 14,000. So I definitely know that if you need this information, and you want to see how it is for yourself because people are also visual, then click the link in the description, sign up, join the community, and get it in your inbox so that you can see the emails. Because I'm going to be sending out an email today and I'm going to be showing how I ranked. I literally did a full case study. My podcast by this time last month was at 225 out of 4.5 million. And today it's sitting at 58.6K out of 4.5 million. So I'm going to show exactly what I did because I'll give you the blueprint. But I mean, everybody has a Google map on their phone, but not everyone's going to drive the same way. So that's why I always give you this information, because I know at some point you're going to raise your hand and say, yeah, we need help, or you're good and I'm good. That means we're all good. Everybody wins. Because at the end of the day, the goal is to make sure that everybody understands it, that you can teach somebody else. If you've learned from me today, or if you've learned from somebody else today, by listening, that's about 5% acquisition. What we've talked about in less than an hour today is a lot of information you have to rewind, replay, and rethink, and rewire, and reframe, and redo, and which I still do too. And that's the joy of it, because for me, SEO is fun because I'm actually breaking things down. That's how I've always been. I love to disrupt things because I like to see things from scratch and also understand why they happen. That's why I'm showing you how this podcast scaled from where it is now, from where it was. And now in 6 years, I can help you do that in 1 month. So it's like, it's a no brainer. So I feel like if you're able to really understand the value of what you're doing, and then you're able to use that for brand sponsorships, brand equity, because the numbers are there. You have to show your numbers. We're in 146 countries. I can give you a full spreadsheet with percentages because that's what we do. We give you numbers, we give you data, because data is the new oil. So if you're able to really mine that data and know exactly what to do, because I'm more like a data scientist, I'm able to really know exactly and dissect what's going on here, what's the consumer behavior trait, and that way we're able to tap in. So we got 2 more minutes to go because I also got some more meetings to catch up with for the rest of the day. We got more client meetings, but I wanted to have something and make sure that we can have this in place. So David, what would you say to people who are listening and would love to, tap into this? Because you're also benefiting from all this great SEO and AI, especially with things like Harper.
Oh my God, favorite, you're just. I just want to start off by saying you're amazing. I love being on your room because you're always giving us lots of goodies, a lot of great stuff, man. I've been a follower you. I've been following you for a while now, as you know. I've been a mentor. You've been my mentor. I'm sorry, and golly, where do I start? There's so much AI stuff going on, and what you're throwing at us as far as SEO and AI. I mean, that's where it's at. I use it every day. It's put me in a different level. It's just been amazing. As far as Harpa, another great AI program that I'm able to analyze my website, my own website, even when I do podcast. Also, I'm able to extract, let's say an article from a podcast, which I'm able to use it, reuse it, repurpose it for SEO on my website. So Yeah, there's so much. I don't have enough time in this room to and 2 minutes is not going to cut it to talk about all this great stuff. But I just want to come on here and just thank you. I did go into ChatGPT right now and I type in my name and I'm actually ranking there as well. So it's great to know all this stuff, man. It's good. I'm you know, and ChatGPT brought me up as a commercial photographer, so one of the top ones here in San Antonio. So I'm just really thrilled. And like you said, with citations, making sure you have those citations, so these AI programs could know where to pull from exactly what location and all that good stuff and the service. So again, thanks again, Favor, for everything. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you. Okay. Yeah, I love to hear that. I do. I remember when we started, like you dominating social, like search, not even social search. When you type in Texas Airbnb photographer, you show up. Like you're on the non-branded wave, and people are connecting with you. And that's why we also think about those rules. When you think about Google, EEAT, experience, expertise, authority, and trust. And the reason why Google trusts you is why Pinterest trusts you, why podcasts trust you, and why now ChatGPT trusts you. And because you're also on Bing, like you've already done the work. Everybody can have a house, everyone can have a key. But it's how you maintain the house and what you put in the house that's the value of the house at the end of the day. So that's why I love being here and also connecting with each and every one of you. So I hope this helped you guys and gave you some insights. We'll talk about podcast blueprint tomorrow. Thank you, David, for being here. Appreciate you for showing up today. Jason, thank you for that amazing question. That was amazing. Tony T, thank you for being here. Mimi, A, Talibani, A, Hidden, Wendy, Jacob, Ingrid, Al, Ryan, Asa, Kelvin, and Nadeem. Thank you all so much for being here. God bless you all. Have a wonderful day. It's a new week. Go out there, be strong, be blessed, and also just stay hydrated because it's getting hot too. So I hope you guys enjoy yourselves, and I'm going to see you guys tomorrow on Taco Tuesday. Take care, everybody. Bye for now.